Welcome to the beautiful coastal locality of Abalone Cove, situated along the picturesque city of Rancho Palos Verdes, California. Abalone Cove encompasses 2 beaches, tide pools, bluffs overlooking the California shoreline, and hiking trails for avid trekkers. It also contains a state ecological preserve where protected animals and marine life are prohibited from being taken by human visitors. Described as a gem along the rough, rugged Palos Verdes coastline, Abalone Cove is one location with so many rich, adventuresome areas enjoyable for the whole family. The first living system at Abalone Cove is one of the most prominent must-see attractions of this locality, the tide pools. Tide pools form twice a day during low tide, which reveal hidden pools of salt water that are brimming with plants, invertebrates, and fish. Visitors can peer into the tide pools in order to see all kinds of sea life right at the water's edge. There is an assortment of sea creatures in the tide pools, which include sea hares, anemone, small octopi, hermit crabs, starfish, limpets, chitin, sea urchins, sea cucumbers, and gooseneck barnacles, just to name a few. These organisms that live in tide pools must be able to withstand extreme fluctuations in conditions. The tidal zone is one of the most severe ecosystems in the world, with massive changes in water level, temperature, sunlight, and wave action, all on a daily basis. Echinoderms are a majority of marine creatures in tide pools, such as the ever-popular starfish. These invertebrates feed on microalgae, bivalves, snails, and sponges. Anemones are filter feeders that catch tiny bits of plankton, small fish, and small snails with their tentacles. Many anemones harbor single-celled algae that provide much of their energy in exchange for protection in a harmonious symbiotic relationship. Crabs feed on snails, diatoms, gastropods, kelp flies, and even smaller crabs. Marine mammals found along the coast of California include harbor seals, elephant seals, sea lions, sea otters, killer whales, and blue, fin, humpback, and gray whales. Many varieties of seabirds and waterfowl also live along the shoreline, including seagulls, cormorants, willets, sandpipers, oyster catchers, and many others. These larger marine animals are the primary and secondary consumers within this living system, feeding off the producer animals. Their interaction between these animals and smaller plants and animals is that of consumption, with the purpose of protecting and preserving those species of animals. They help keep the whole ecosystem going as long as they are protected by visitors as well. Third living system is that of humans, animals, and plant life. Elements within this living system include those humans who visit Abalone Cove as tourism, those who are employed to maintain regulations for the upkeep and protection of Abalone Cove, and the animals and plant life that exists in Abalone Cove. Some elements outside the system include human bloggers who promote visiting Abalone Cove, which results in higher numbers of visitors, and in turn provides the income to supply the upkeep of this area. Some interactions within this system are legislature to protect the animal and plants of this area, bloggers who promote the tourism of this area, and families and students who take field trips to Abalone Cove, especially to learn about the plants and animals who live in the easily accessible tide pools. The purpose of the interactions is for humans to maintain responsible stewardship and careful preservation of this beautiful coastal locality, while ensuring fun and educational opportunities for families and students. There are also laws to protect both the wildlife and people from harm, including prohibiting animals from being taken from Abalone Cove, and recently closing off portions of the beach and tide pools due to falling rocks and unstable cliffs. Bloggers encourage visitors to follow the good tide puller rule, which is never remove animals, shells, or rocks, never pick up animals, walk gently, and never turn over rocks. It is responsible human interaction that has preserved certain species of animal and plant life from extinction. Living system interactions at Abalone Cove. The three systems interact greatly at Abalone Cove, especially in regard to the food cycle, in order to keep the whole ecosystem going. Herbivorous sea urchins feed on algae and seagrass, whose main predator is a sea otter. Some sea otters eat so many urchins that their teeth and bones become tinted with a lavender color from the purple pigment of the common sea urchin. Sea urchins prevent the overgrazing of kelp. A negative human interaction within this living system resulted in the hunting down of California's sea otters in the early 20th century. They were once hunted to the brink of extinction for their silky warm pelts, until only about 50 sea otters were left living off the coast by the late 1930s. Today, California's otter population is rebounding thanks to scientific conservation efforts and protection by law. As a whole, there is a concerted effort on behalf of humans to preserve Abalone Cove and among the animals that exist in this locality, each one feeding upon one another, which maintains a well-balanced ecosystem for future generations to enjoy.